Welcome back, guys. On the last episode, after 100 games in Korea, we finally met our first griefer. We had a bad laning phase and he just did not want to continue. He was taking every farm he could from the jungler over and over and over. And eventually we lost the game because he was refusing to play. Minus 21 LP, but immediately after the game ended, during the lobby, we were gifted 14 LP back because the Korean system punished him immediately. And we ended the video at 48 LP. I apologize for the gap between this series. I wanted to get it out all before the new season came, but then I got sick. You could probably still hear it in my voice. It lasted freaking forever. I know this content is pre the new season, so we're gonna chug it out very quickly over the next 4 or 5 days, get to the end of it, and then we'll move on to the new content. In game number 1, the bot lane starts off in our favor. We traded 2 for 1, which given the situation of us getting cheese as we entered that brush, we already lost most of our health, so trading with our passive was the way to go. Our ADC ends up being slightly greedy. He pushes an extra wave that he didn't need to, and that allows me to come back to lane, and this fight occurs. The lane, it's now been equalized. Both ADCs are probably about even. We end up spotting the Leona. She's roamed for the void while this happened, which means that we can tower dive the Ashe at any given moment. I ended up getting back to lane significantly before our ADC and attempted to sneak behind the enemy team to try and cheese, but for whatever reason, they came to drop the red ward. I can only assume they were rotating towards the Drake. This spotted me out and I was requesting to be pulled away with the Kalista ult, but he chose not to use it. Maybe he is just more experienced and it's probably a waste. Maybe it's better to let me die, or more likely he just was not paying attention. I don't know. Either way, it ended up working out because when we came back to lane, he had his ultimate and we used it to turn this fight. It's now 11 minutes into this game. We're attempting to do a 3v1 dive onto the enemy ADC, but the Galio catches us off guard and uses his taunt to get aggro from our ADC, which means that we're not tanking the tower. Everything goes to shits from there. It's a 2-for-1 trade. Galio sticks around. Rather than letting this farm die to the tower, I decide to stay and soak it up. It's also a really good opportunity for me to potentially bait in the Galio. He does end up going for it, and he does end up getting punished. Kalista picks up this gold, and this secures us the lane. We now rotate mid to try and figure out where our team is at, but before we can even get there, the Rek'Sai is being caught. We get caught trying to save him, and then our ADC, the one with all the gold, walks out and he also gets caught. This isn't good. We've got every lane losing. The bot lane was our only hope. You look top lane, Cassiopeia has already opened the inhibitor tower. She is mega fed. It takes 3 of us to even consider taking her down. This is very much not an ideal situation. No matter what play we make, we're losing stuff around the map, but the best choice is to keep forcing onto the Cass, because if we just leave her, she's gonna take everything. The Yone, he's too far behind, he can't match her. Eventually, after we secured a kill onto the Cass, the enemy team made a mistake. We rotated mid and they allowed us to engage onto them, not noticing that their main star, the Cassiopeia, she's dead. That's most of their damage, whereas most of our damage is on this Kalista. We keep the fight going, juggling the aggro extremely well, and manage to secure an ace, which leads into the Baron. In an ideal world, you would get the Baron here and reset, but I can see why the team kept chasing. It got us into a little bit of hot water. We weren't in the fight, so I'm not too keen on this happening. I'm rushing back as quick as possible and just praying that it goes in our favor. Even though our team secured that Baron, we didn't really get to do anything with it on the map. The enemy team was still significantly stronger than us, and we also have an issue that I haven't shown you in this game. That's why I engaged this fight. I waited till the Yone spawned and tried to get onto this Cassiopeia, praying that I can force him to group. It was looking promising, but then Cass got a really nice ult and a ground onto our main damage source. They end up sieging our inhib, so as soon as I respawn, I ult straight in, trying to divide the enemy team. I'm aiming here to sit next to Cassiopeia. After she just demolished our ADC, it became quite apparent to me what the win condition is of the enemy team. Just keep the Cass away from Kalista, and we should be good to go. The plan was a success. Our team ends up getting an ace, and we head straight over to the Baron and secured that. On our way back, the enemy team shows up. They don't want us to recall. One minute later, we've dealt with the super waves, and we head into the Dragon Pit, attempting to stop the enemy team from getting the Infernal Soul. The fight didn't go in our favor. This one was meant to go our way. There are numerous things that went wrong. Our Rek'Sai didn't use his ult before he died. Kalista didn't use her ult. I also got chipped by the Cassiopeia ult, literally by a single frame. It was a very, very unfortunate team fight. The enemy team picked up the Soul Drake, and while we were trying to reset, Yone got caught attempting to trade with the enemy team. I'm not too sure what he was doing. It was, however, a common occurrence this game, which is what I was trying to mention earlier. He was just getting caught a lot. This forced a full-on team fight, and Rek'Sai wasn't in position for it at all, and I don't blame him because this shouldn't have been a team fight to begin with. It does show how close it would have been if this was a 5v5. Either way, we lose game 1 and 21 LP. As I mentioned earlier, last week marked the start of the new season, which means we're officially still playing League of Legends in 2025. And as per usual, your rank, it's just been reset, likely back to bronze. So if you want to reach high elo this season, like yours truly, you need to head over to tapin.gg and get yourself a helping hand. With the fiesta that the new season always brings, you're going to be tilting off the face of this planet. That's where they come in. Level-headed players, coaches, therapists, whatever you guys need. You can pair up with a high elo partner to try out some new strategies. Double jungle, maybe? Trust me, you'll be much more successful at it if you have a duo who has comms. Or maybe you're just looking to review a VOD of yours. Whatever you need, they got it within minutes, any time of the day. And unlike other coaching services, it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. You can get a coaching session for less than the price of a single skin. So what are you waiting for? Get off that fence, use the link in my description, and go try out tapin.gg today. Welcome back, and thanks to those of you who sat through the sponsor, and for those of you naughty viewers who skipped, you probably noticed that this video is very, very long. We need to stuff as many games as possible if we want to get through all of them in the designated amount of time, aka we gotta do a Bonnie Blue. So we're playing 5 games per video throughout this week. It is going to be a lot. This Bruam lane starts off the same as all the others. We go very aggressive in these early levels, engage what our ADC does. He ends up not responding quite well, so I start pulling back and vicariously living through the top lane. Now that top lane is in such a commanding position, the idea of sitting back and doing nothing is much more appealing. Another great reason to do it is because it allows your jungler to come and gank the enemy bot lane, which in this case paid off big time. After the kill, Ashe went back, but I didn't want to allow the Kog'Maw to come into lane and push it and get a free wave. So I stuck around and waited for the Skarner to finish his camp, and would then use the last minion as a stepping stone to get a proc onto the Kog'Maw. That choice I made to stay back not only got the Ashe a massive wave, but she ends up securing 2 kills as well. The enemy support Lulu has now roamed to help his jungler with the voids, which means another tower dive is coming and there's a huge stacked wave, so Kog'Maw is going to lose a lot of gold here. Lulu and Kog'Maw are both desynced. They come in one at a time, so I'm trying my best to abuse that as much as possible. Sadly, this time, the wave is taking far too long to crash, so we're in a very awkward position now because the enemy jungler has come to gank us. You really can only feel bad for the Graves. He comes bot to help them and gets killed once again. This means he can't help top and he can't help the bot lane. They're in a very tough situation. The ganks in the bot lane continue because of the way the waves work. One side pushes into the next and Skarner can just jump through the walls. We are just cleaning up the enemy bot lane over and over. Throughout this entire game, this is the only play we made that didn't go in our favor. They chucked 4 people into the bot lane, trying to shut us down. They only managed to kill me, the support. Ashe runs away, hides in the brush, and still manages to pick up a kill onto the Lulu by cheesing her. Stuff you just do not see every day. It's pretty amazing. We've now time jumped into the future. We're at 24 minutes. Our team is in a commanding position. Graves ends up getting caught while trying to check if we're on the Baron. You have to keep in mind we have complete control of this area. Enemy team's now in a 4v5 and they put in their final ditch effort to stop our team. It, of course, wasn't enough. The scoreline is 41 kills for our team, 11 for the enemy. We just got the Baron, waltzed through the base, and locked up our first win of the day. This game nets us 19 LP. We're now only a couple games away from Diamond 1 in Korea. In game number 3, we are playing Sion support. I picked this because the enemy has a Xin Zhao jungle, and this runs extremely well into it. Our lane starts off with a very early gank from the Elise. It's perfectly executed, and we pick up the first blood. But before we get to go and spend that gold, enemy Xin Zhao shows up looking to get revenge. Overall, the trade ends up going 2 for 2, which is pretty good considering it was a 2v3. We've now come back to lane. The wave is slow pushing in the enemy's direction. The Xin Zhao wants to take advantage of this. He's come back straight away to gank us once again. This time, the enemy team wasn't so lucky. They only picked up 1 kill onto me, and we picked up 2. Fast forwarding 2 minutes into the future, the wave's crashing, we're low HP, Xin Zhao, he's here again. This is the 3rd gank, but unlike the other 2, they managed to successfully juggle the aggro, and we both die completely for free, setting our bot lane back. The good news is that our team, they're paying attention. Both Silas and the Elise are waiting in the brush, waiting to punish the enemy bot lane, who up to this point has just had gank after gank after gank. Even though it's not our lane picking up the gold from the kill, it is putting the enemy bot lane behind, which directly puts us ahead. By 10 minutes into this game, I'm fairly certain this Varus had given up. It does seem a little bit greedy for him to go for that plating. I highly doubt he was doing it in his right mind. He ends up dying again, and this is the end of the laning phase. We get the tower, and we move over to the mid lane. We're now 14 minutes and 20 seconds into this video. Seems like a very great time to remind you to leave a comment, like the video. If you've made it this far into it, I'm assuming you're enjoying it. Doing those few simple steps tells the algorithm that you want to see more. We're going to be zooming through this game. It was mostly just us securing objective after objective. Our team had a very significant lead and the enemy team were not able to claw it back. We took all the mid towers, all the bot towers, opened up that inhibitor, and now we're on our way to end this game through the mid lane. It's fairly evident that the bot lane had given up. The scoreline is just way in our favor once again. Back-to-back games completely crushing the enemy. And yeah, we get our second win of the day. We get 19 LP. Now we're up to 65 LP. Diamond 2, 2 games away from Diamond 1. I didn't know this at the time, but once I loaded in, I was able to look up the stats of the Kindred. He is a Smurf. He Smurfs playing ADC Kindred, which is the first time I've ever versed this. And his win rate is very impressive. Plus, he does it without a duo. Unlike the previous game, we got fairly lucky. We managed to stack the brush before the enemy team. It was kind of obvious that they would try to cheese us given the fact that they had a Camille support. We end up getting a first blood and the lane plays out as you would expect it would. Camille uses her E to jump straight onto us and this pushes our ADC out of the lane. He actually ended up recalling and missed a lot of farm. That's why I froze the wave here to try and catch him back up. Kindred wasn't the biggest fan of it. He then rotated to go and get his mark, which gave us the opportunity to push the wave and try and cut them off. That plan was a fail because the enemy jungler was there to help them. They push us out and it looks like we're going to reset. My health is low and there's no minions there, which means if we sneak into the brush, there's a good chance we can cheese the enemy. This time, the strategy, I mean, it did work, but I guess I just underestimated how much damage both the Kindred and the Camille had. They ended up getting a kill onto me and we pushed the wave in. Rather than recalling, Jinx decided to trade back. We didn't really get to see what happened, but she gets one kill before getting picked off by the enemy Kindred. I cut that up to try and save time on this video, but we wasted over a minute of Kindred's time just by stopping her back. This gives the Jinx time he needs to catch back up in experience and gold to neutralize the lane because we had it frozen. It was a very important moment. It's a really good example of how to turn a lane when things go wrong. Our plays, they all failed, yet somehow we're still ahead, and it wasn't through jungle assistance. There's not just one way to get back into a game. You can use strategies like that to get an edge. We're now 9 minutes into this game. Our lane, it has a significant edge, not only in levels, but we've also got the gold we need to beat the enemy in a 2v2. Unfortunately, we had no wards, which means the Elise walked through and punished us. What I noticed around Diamond 2 and Diamond 1 in Korea is that they get significantly better at realizing which champion could potentially win for the enemy team. So for example, every time we get gold, you're gonna notice the enemy jungler comes to shut us down. Every time the enemy gets gold, our jungler comes to fix the lane. You wouldn't think it's a big deal, but I mean, it takes a lot of experience and game knowledge to understand how to do that, when to do that. Up until this point, the Jinx, our ADC, was playing about average. I didn't think much of him, but after we got this kill, Jinx turned into an absolute monster. Game number 4 concludes with us winning 20 more LP. We're now on a roll. Things seem to be getting a little bit easier. In game number 5, we helped our jungler invade the red side, place some wards, and as we were heading back, the enemy Xin Zhao contested him. So I made the call, instead of going back to the bot lane, I would come and help him secure the red side. Rather than heading back to lane right now, which I could have, I decide to check to make sure no cheese is happening. The bot lane falls behind, I can fix that. However, if our jungler falls behind, that's something that's a lot more difficult to fix. On my way back down to the bot lane, I noticed that the mid laner got ganked, so I tried to help him push the wave in. He's too low HP to sit here. He's gonna die when Fizz gets level 3. Or more likely, the Xin Zhao is gonna circle back around and gank him again because he has nothing to farm. He can't go to his red side, it's been taken. Kassadin sees this as me griefing rather than helping, so he sticks around, but I have no choice but to stay and help. I don't really care what he says. I'm here to win, and this is what we need to do to win it. This wave, it needs to be pushed in, and then he needs to go back. Kassadin, being a big-ass baby, made the conscious choice to stay in the lane. He had a free back. He actually had 2 free backs. The first time I helped him push in the wave, if he had helped me push in that cannon minion, the wave would have hit the tower rather than getting stopped by the next wave, but he decided to type and complain instead of helping, and ultimately that got him killed, which he rightfully deserved. In the end, everything worked out well for our team. We ended up with more gold from the kills, plus our ADC got a double buff, so all that struggling he did, it ended up paying off, and we used that double buff as soon as they got back to lane to get 2 more kills. By the way, I got to lane at 5 minutes. That's how much walking around the map I was doing. 30 seconds later, I'm sitting here watching the Cass die. This is his 3rd death already, and it's not like he didn't see it coming. He's pinging the fact that Fizz is 6, which means he's being disrespectful. He should have just waited back and soaked experience until he had his escape. It's just pure greedy gameplay. Just like this, I saw the enemy died on the other side of the map, the jungler, so I attempted to steal the scuttle, and while I was doing that, the enemy bot lane, they hard punished our Kaiser, which was a big mistake by me because he had a significant lead, and I just let them shut that down. Even though we traded 1 back, still a very big mistake by us. And to top things off, it wasn't the last one we made. Rather than just taking this dragon and going back to lane, I decided to try and contest the Poppy. Not the brightest move that I've ever done. It ends up resulting in me getting punished. I die once again. Honestly, both this Poppy and the enemy Viego, they're both significantly outperforming us in this early game. My excuse is the fact that I was helping him and didn't go to lane. I don't know what his is. Either way, Xin Zhao continues to outplay us. He preemptively starts charging his Q knockup on the red ward, which I didn't notice he was doing, which instant knocks me up and gets me killed. Very smart gameplay by him. My death leads into a easy dive for the enemy team, so once again I've murdered my ADC. The plus side is that our whole team responded to this dive. Kassadin rotates down and starts cleaning up kills. This is exactly what we need for our late game win condition, so I'm here thinking that my death was the ultimate bait of all time and patting myself on the back. Sometimes it's a good thing to be able to see the positives. That's how you keep your mental strong and keep playing without tilting yourself. It was exactly at this moment, 12 minutes into the game, when we killed that Poppy there, we finally retook control. The whole time, Poppy had tempo because of that level 1. Now, we are the ones in charge, and we can start dictating the way this game goes. 19 minutes, it was pretty clear which team was starting to dominate, considering we have multiple scaling aspects in our team, plus we have good engage, and we have a lead already. Things are getting out of hand for the enemy team, and they're really looking for a miracle at this point. The miracle being Smolder, but that miracle seems quite unlikely considering we rotated straight to the Baron after the near ace and they didn't contest at all. So we now have the Baron. It's 22 minutes. Cass is an absolute monster, and we're trying to push to end this game before Smolder becomes relevant at all. Enemy team ends up killing both the Cassidy and myself, which you would think would slow us down, but realistically they sent so many people to the bot lane that we were able to open the top side of the map, and then we now enter the final team fight of this game. That is game number 5 complete, 4 wins in a row. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. The next one, it's going to be live within 24 hours. We're up to Diamond 1 in Korea. Make sure to like the video, leave a comment, and put on that notification bell so that you don't miss it. See you guys in the next episode.
Y'all ain't on this level, bitches, Tilterella.